sounds awesome.
Damn it, Timcast is on live right now. That sucks. That's the problem. We're going up against Tim Pool. We're gonna have to change our time.
I like him.
I don't care if you like him or not. It's the reason why our live show doesn't go anywhere, because we're going against him. We're gonna have to change times.
Well,
no, got to change times. We're gonna have to talk to everybody tonight. We're gonna have to agree on a time to change.
You feel like your mouth just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug it.
Okay?
Kiss and make
That's all good?
all the
Okay.
party
We're good then.
Agree or disagree. Stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want. Damn, so what you need. I won't tell no lies. Back up on the facts with truth. And if
Love you, babe.
can't get down with that,
Hey, do we have any other bags left? Mike, black bags? Someone? I can't hear you. So yes or no? Whatever. Love you. Can't hear you. Noise canceling headphones. You know how it goes. All right.
Hi, Matthew. It's Judge Janine, and I wanted to congratulate you on the Don't Unfriend Me show at the Dumb Show. I was thinking about that whole thing the other day when I thought it was right after Donald Trump was elected that everybody on the left started unfriending anyone on the right. So I'm glad you're calling them out. You've got a great name for the show. And I hope that you're true to the values, conservative values, Republican values, and that you call those people out. I think it's great. And I know you've got 135,000 followers. I hope you get a lot more. And just keep the faith. Keep fighting. I think we may get America back. But in the meantime, we've got a steep hill to climb. And you're one of the fighters, one of the patriots. So thank you for what you're doing.
No, it's never coming back. It's never coming back. That's it. It's not coming back. We're hopelessly
throwing in
doomed.
the towel like that?
We're quitting. We're giving up. We're popping smoke.
All right.
Nope. Yeah, I tell you what, man. I'm after hearing that our government lied to us. I'm appalled. I'm appalled.
What?
I don't.
It's the first time they've ever lied, though. So
It's so so confusing. I don't know what to do.
Which lie? What lie are we talking about here, Matt?
Well, it's the lie that got me banned for no reason, and it's the lie that we've all been dealing. Where the hell's my window?
it's Monday.
There it is. So the lie. I don't understand how you haven't been watching the news. So this is now what's going on. The Department of Energy. Now, a lot of people are like, why is the Department of Energy releasing statistics about supposedly Wuhan lab in China releasing the coronavirus? And they're fleeing. Why is the department? Folks, do you understand that DOE is like the third largest alphabet agency in the entire United States government and how many things they oversee? Do you know that there are certain alphabet agencies from an intel capacity that bottom line to them and they're funded by the DOE? So, when people say Department of Energy, they're like, well, the power company? It's a little bit more than that without going into too much detail. But the point being is that, yes, the DOE and like 46 other government agencies have all been investigating this thing. So I did a show on it. I went and really dove into the research. You guys know that I've always thought Wuhan was the culprit for this. I never bought the wet market. And then I didn't get much into the rest of it. I didn't get into the vaccine hype. I stayed away from it. I didn't get into ivermectin and hydrochloroquine and the other things. I kind of just stayed away from it. The whole masking thing, I talked about it a little bit, but I overall stayed away from COVID like it was the plague for a reason. not because it really was a plague, but because I stayed away from it like the plague, because I didn't want to get banned on Facebook and YouTube, which I subsequently did anyway. And I'm effing pissed because the US government is now saying, well, sorry, we're wrong. Everything looks like this is happening anyway. So I want to talk about this tonight. I know you guys have an opinion, but I want to quickly encourage you to go watch the show tonight and take a look at it, because I believe there's only listen, Leroy will tell you this, that when you have something that takes place, you always want to try to find the pieces of sinew that kind of keep it together like a knee. And you want to go, okay, what's something that's happened that has not been consistent, hasn't happened in a while, should have happened a long time ago, but hasn't, that coincides with this story. And when you do that, you usually by association can figure out what the premise and what the reason why. This was released 7 days ago for a reason, because China said that it was going to go ahead and proxy, China said it was going to go ahead and proxy Russia with lethal aid, and started flirting with that. So what do? We say, okay, well, you want to play that game? Here is a little bit of information for the world to chew on, so we can build up political capital against you from a geopolitical threat position from sovereign nations to say, what the F, China? They now have evidence. What the hell's going on? It puts the political pressure on China to say, go ahead and blink. And not only have we put a red line in the sand and told you that if you give lethal aid to Russia, come hell or high water, there's going to be consequences, not consequences like Crimea or Syria, but hopefully, or Iran, but some consequence, even though Democrats never back up their word. I want to get your thoughts. Have you had a chance to look into this? Are you just as mad as I am? I'm waiting for and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube have all said, oh, we're no longer flagging any videos or content that question where the etymology of COVID came from. And I'm like, bullshit. YouTube just banned me less than 4 months ago on this very topic. Go ahead amongst yourselves.
Amy?
I did not get to finish the show. I just started watching it before I got on, so I didn't finish the whole show, but I hadn't heard this until your show came out, so this was all news to me. I didn't catch when KGP first did this press release. I mean, it had to be a while ago, and why was it not?
Yeah,
released?
May it was May 21st, 2021.
That's
2 years ago.
Yeah, so that's a long time ago. And my question as an American citizen is not only why are they withholding this information if it is true, and two, what are they still withholding, and what do they know that we don't know about, Russia and China that we are not privy to as normal everyday American citizens? Should we be more worried than we already are? I mean, this is, to me, and I'm not like a real conspiracy theorist. I love a funny one. I really love to subscribe to those just because they're outlandish and crazy. But I don't take them seriously. But this one to me just seems terrifying, to be completely honest. Like really, truly scary. Like, are we on the brink of World War III? I mean, this is, I don't know enough.
It's a legitimate fear.
Yeah.
So two things I wanted to add to that real quick before I address something that Amy said. When we're talking about the DOE, folks, you have to know that, all right, I'm going to start using a little bit of code here. And when I start winking and saying, we should assume.
Wait, wanking or winking?
Winking.
Well, winking, not wanking.
So everybody, let hold on a second. If Leroy starts doing that with his eye, we're good, and just pay attention. But if he starts doing this, we might want to go ahead and have the kids stop watching. Okay, go ahead, Leroy.
So when we're talking about the DOE or any three-letter agency, we have to understand, right? Most of the public will not know this, right? There's only about 1% of the public that would really understand this. And so that's why they come to us in lieu of a Tim Pool, folks, because we know things.
We know things. I don't think Tim knows this. Let's find out if Tim
No,
knows
he
this.
doesn't know.
Yeah.
We have
Maybe
two
I wanted to be Ryan,
former
by the way.
intelligence analysts on the horn with you, and I'm going to
That's right,
break it
right
down
here.
for you.
We're gonna break
So
it
when
down.
we're talking about the DOE, we have to assume that the United States is watching every other country's energy development programs, just like they would watch. We know that they watch ours. So when we're talking about their nuclear programs, or when we're talking about where they're building coal plants, it's for a very specific reason. It's so that we can kind of gauge how people would react, how they would leave an area that is being supplied with nuclear energy, so that if a mass exodus ever did occur, like in Ukraine after Chernobyl popped, right? We know that a specific mass of people would move throughout the country in a specific way. That's part of DOE's. That's one of the things that they study. Now, that being said, where did I leave off? Oh, Amy. Amy was saying that that the Wuhan thing is, she didn't want to be seen as a conspiracy theorist. And I think that it's funny because for years, 2 years now, we have been told that the right, that the conservatives, that the Republicans, that anybody who thought that Wuhan started off in China, that those people were conspiracy theorists. We were told that. And now, literally, China is telling us that. Oh, if you believe that, then you guys are just conspiracy theorists. And at some point, you have to go, no, you have to connect these two dots, and it makes sense. And this isn't conspiracy theory any longer. I'm sorry, Matt.
I want to know why Tim from our Ian from Tim Pool's podcast is the fucking military analyst for that show. Dude, I'm 20 minutes away, Tim. Bring me on your, and listen, I'll argue with you all the damn time. If it's because Ian like challenges every thought you have, I'll be that guy for you. But please don't put a long-haired hippie as your military analyst. That's the one thing I object with Tim's show. It's ridiculous. That guy, he has a little UFO, magnetic UFO. I just want to flick that thing off of his desk. All right, so yes. All yes. Everything's yes. But I want to break this down to the most important thing, me. So what I'm frustrated is like, what the Facebook? Do you know how much money I lost?
Yeah.
Do you guys know what trend I was on? I mean, we had broken $12,000 in October, and I'm like, okay, that's the month I needed. Now we can start, Leroy and Amy, we can expand, we can start sharing revenue, and then blammo, they freaking nailed me to the wall and demonetized me. And it's never been the same since. I mean, go look at my recorded shows. You guys know those. By the time I was done with a live show, we'd be 200, 300, 500 likes. Now it's like 10. Something's happening. And it's just, I didn't do this to make it rich, right? That wasn't my goal. But what I wanted to do was have it to progress and grow. And it's frustrating to know that because of things that were said during COVID that wound up being right that we said, and we were always very cautious. Leroy, Amy, and I have always been very careful to keep fact and fiction separate. And some shows don't. And those shows have 10 million viewers on them. I remember some of the things that have been said on the other big conservative networks where I'm like, what the hell? I listen to the stuff they say about transgenders. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are blatantly homophobic, blatantly transphobic, and they're not getting throttled. And they've got 1.5 million views. And I don't understand. So
is it lawyers, do you think?
I think,
of course, it's lawyers.
Yeah. I think it's politics. I think their lawyers are connected to other lawyers, and I'm learning this here on a local level. If you have an attorney that has some kind of a political background, if they've held an office of any type, they're able to rub elbows with anyone else. And that industry is pretty, I say that industry, we're a part of it, I guess, too. But, this industry is so incestuous, and everyone knows everybody. And the attorneys especially, they all work together, especially to fight the bigger conglomerates. And so, yeah, I think it's all politics and the attorney.
Okay. Do you this is a really good point that Amy's making. Do you guys remember that the Warrior Next Door podcast that I had on, I think is what it was. And they talked about the World War II vets, and they actually interviewed guys on Omaha Beach and everything. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Those guys.
Vaguely.
I subscribe.
Okay. So let me tell you the entomology of that. And I'm just going to be honest, as I don't care anymore. Fuck them. iHeartRadio reached out to me, and it was the director and a regional sales manager for the Washington, D.C., basically the Washington, D.C., Virginia, Delaware, Delmarva area. Okay. This is a $1 billion market, right? Talk radio in this area is huge. And it's got 10.5 million people in this 3 states who listen to it in their vehicles. It's incredible how much listeners to. So Vince Colonnese is a very well-known Republican conservative, right? And he's got his own radio show. And I'm going to say it right now because Vince has done nothing for me, right? So I've promoted Vince plenty of times. I've said good things about him. I helped out a couple of his people and his staff to get their podcast because they were like, "Oh my God, your set's freaking incredible." Vince, in a sales meeting, Vince texts me and says, "Dude, your freaking setup is sick." Right? He's a good dude. He's a good guy. He doesn't know any of this, but his producer and the sales guy for their station reached out to me and called me one day and said, "Hey, listen." And I was always like, "Hey, can you spot the Don't Unfriend Me podcast?" They're like, "Yeah, send us your stuff." And I would send it in. And then they would listen and go, nope, we can't have this guy on the air because of his language. And he calls his people dummies and all this other crap. This is that whole thing that was going on. So they reach out to me and they're like, "By the way, hey, Matt, how's it going? Can you help us out with your cameras and your audio equipment and what you use?" And I'm like, "Well, sure, I can do that for you." So I do it for him. Then crickets. Then they asked me again to do it. And one of their people reaches out by email, goes, "Hey, blank, this person said to reach out to you." And I'm like, "No, no, you want me to consult? F you, pay me money then. I'm done with this. You're not helping me any. Why am I going to help you?" So this is the long way around the barn on this. Leroy, it's okay, dude. Your lights are fine. Leroy.
I got you.
Leroy, your lights are okay. I'm going to have you comment on this. And if you're not listening, you're going to be like, "Well, Matt, Alexa." And I'm like, no, that's not the answer. All right. So quickly. So I get a reach out by the producer and the head of sales. And they say to me, "Hey, we have this podcast, the Warriors Next Door podcast. Vince doesn't want to have them on because they're too small time. Would you do it for us?" And I'm like, "Yes. Well, first of all, I care about what they're doing and I don't need anything else." But my thoughts were that, okay, maybe Vince will go out on vacation and you're going to need someone to come in and cover. Maybe you need someone to cover the weekend shows. Maybe this is my way where I can take some of their light work and get those people, rubbing elbows and feel covered and taken care of, which those guys did. They loved us. And nothing. So why am I outing this? Well, I'm not having my Crowder moment, and I'm not trying to throw Vince under the bus, but Vince is right. He probably gets contacted by thousands of people a month. He can't afford to put all those people on. I respect that. I can. But in this industry, the favors are not returned. And if you show unfettered loyalty to people, they don't care. And the only way I can say that is look at what's happening to Matt Walsh right now, where the conservatives are all turning against him because he's ruffling some feathers and he doesn't give a shit who cares or not. And he's like, this is a war against good and evil. These are people who are trying to take our children and turn them into something that is completely an abolishment. And it's sacrilegious in a way because it defies the image of God in what he created in human beings. And it's completely against God's law. This is insane. I don't necessarily agree with him, but it doesn't matter. He's standing up for it, and conservatives are turning against him, including Tim and other people. And I don't understand why. Go ahead. I'll let you guys chat about that.
I saw that interview and I just can't believe when I was watching the interactions between him in front of the Senate hearing, that they were like, "Well, can you tell us about your education so we can gauge whether or not you're being biased when you're coming?" And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Because he was spot on. And here's the
Right.
thing. They didn't like it. Not only because of his tone, but because he was right. Because he
Right.
was able to say, look, this isn't a matter of high school diploma versus college degree. This is not what that's about. Anybody can come in here with a moral compass and say,
Mhm.
if you hack off somebody's genitalia, right, because they feel a certain way on a certain day, that's wrong.
Right.
And we need to be doing a better job in society as parents, as societal leaders. We need to do a better job in guiding our children rather than allow that to happen. That was all his point was. And he was being attacked like, you don't have a college degree. How can you, are you a biologist? And we're like, it's not what this is about.
Right.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
that was my only point.
No, but if you think about it, Bill Nye the Science Guy isn't a freaking science guy. Why the hell do we
No, he's
listen
an
to Bill
engineer.
Nye? He's an actor. He's not a scientist. They're like, oh, well, for 30 years, he's been around science. Okay, well, then he knows more than your average Joe, but he's not a scientist. Why the hell would I listen to him? It's like listening to Mayorkas. He's not a freaking border. He's not an officer of the law. Why would I listen to Al Gore about climate change? He's not a freaking doctor. Jill Biden's more of a doctor than he
internet,
is.
So he might know
Oh my
something.
God. He did invent
I
the
would
internet. He's a
sooner
doctor
listen
of the
to
internet.
I would sooner listen to Dolph Lundgren, right?
Yeah, no.
break you.
That's the problem with media in general and our nation, because we don't hold anyone to a standard. If you fit the boxes of what's going to sell, then no one cares if you're right or wrong, and they can
that's
force
truth.
you to say whatever they want you to say because they are signing your paycheck. So you're
Well-
going to fall in line, or you're unemployable because they
See,
also have far reach.
That's the truth, but I don't know if that's true with everybody. Joe Rogan's not that way.
Right.
Joe's not that way. Crowder is not that way. I mean, people are upset with Crowder right now, but he's not that way. Shapiro rides the fence a little bit, but people say that I ride the fence. Listen, I don't ride the fence. I ride the fence between fact and fiction. I don't dip my toes in the hypothesis. It's a waste of time. This isn't a hypothetical show. If we were going to do a hypothetical show, we need to say, okay, well, if my grandmother had balls, she would be my grandfather. If you're going to go hypothetical, let's do that. Plenty of shows do that. We try to stay more factual. Quick example, Leroy, before you go. This lady came on, two people. One guy came on and on my show that I just recorded said, oh, this is all distraction. What about bioweapon labs? And I'm like, what about them? What about them? What's your point? What does that have to do with what we're talking about? It has nothing to do. Another guy came on, or a girl came on today, and she goes, Ron DeSantis, he was endorsed by George Soros. And I said, first of all, no, he wasn't. That's not what Soros did. Second, you're falling for what Soros is trying to do, which is create division around DeSantis to boost up Trump's numbers because they think Biden can beat Trump and nobody else. They don't think he can beat Nikki Haley. They don't think he can beat Ron DeSantis. Hell, they are even questioning if he can beat Mike Pence. There's some serious issues with Joe Biden. And if anyone beats him from a faculty perspective or a policy perspective, they'll vote for him. This is about Donald Trump. And that's what Soros is trying to do, is get Donald Trump. You guys are falling right into the hands. Let's just wait for the primary and see and let the best person win. And if Donald Trump does what he did up in Ohio, well, I'll vote for him. But if he doesn't, I won't. Leroy, go ahead.
I will say this. Whenever you hear those types of arguments, the whataboutisms that tend to come from the left, they never seem to be equally applied to people who lean conservative.
Right.
With that, as I'm sitting here thinking about, because I get more fired up about Matt Walsh's interactions with the Senate hearing, none of those people are biologists who were said, maybe with the exception of Rand Paul. He qualifies as a doctor, right? But most of the people that are up there are not biologists. They're not scientists. Their only grasp to that is that the fact that they probably get some level of donations from a scientific community to
They're not even very
lean
good at
one
their
way or the other,
jobs.
right? But
Yeah.
when you distill all that crap down, they're policymakers. And so you have a policymaker pointing to someone and saying, you don't get an input because you don't have a degree. And I find that to be repulsive.
Yeah.
When policymakers make those kinds of moral calls for the rest of us to say, look, we should only rely on experts for these types of opinions. And that's completely nonsensical. When it comes to the safety and security and well-being of our children. So that really pissed me off.
Amy.
With that, I absolutely think that I did not know, Matt, and you'd have to enlighten me a little bit here. I didn't know that a lot of conservatives were turning on Matt. I did not hear that.
Oh, horribly. I mean, it's brutal. And Matt Walsh he doesn't pull any punches, man. Listen, the guy knows most of the time he's the smartest person in the room. Okay. He's not Ben Shapiro. He's not Crowder. He's not me. He's not Tim. He's just different, and he's smart and he's sharp, but he's also very aggressive, and he doesn't look that way. He looks like somebody that you, if you were to go into a reformed lumberjack's office, that's what Matt Walsh looks. He looks like he should be wearing. He looks like the brawny guy without so much brawn. Yeah. He's super smart. I actually had a chance to meet him one time in Virginia when he spoke out against the school board.
The Loudoun County thing.
Yeah. And he's just a really nice guy. And I didn't pitch my podcast. I didn't do any of that. I just went and saw him, and it was great to hear from him. Super smart. I think Matt Walsh is so intelligent that he should spread out his repertoire a little bit more than just transgenders, because first of all, it makes up an infinitesimal amount of the population. And honestly, who really cares? Once we stop this stuff from happening in schools, then it's going to be, hey, live and let live, be who you want to be. We don't care. There's bigger fish to fry. Although our children are the most important thing. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this doesn't take 24 hours of his time. He can walk and chew gum at the same time. Real quick, before we move off of this, is I popped this up a couple times. Susie said, I didn't look into the legitimacy of it. Figured these guys, being former military intelligence, not all former, might know. They stored nuclear weapons in the U.S. planes to attract attacks during the Cold War, and apparently it was recently updated somehow. So I want to address this first of all. It's not that we put nuclear weapons and silos in the Great Plains because it would attract nuclear fallout. Now, they were sparsely populated, low populations of people, but really the biggest benefit was strategic, was more of defensive rather than offensive, is the fact that it added hundreds and hundreds of miles to the overall ICBM ability to leave one area, go into space, and come down and hit another. It was the farthest point from point A to point B. It makes sense that you would want to put your offensive missiles in the most difficult spot to reach. Plus, it's in the Rocky Mountains, which also protects with those explosions for helping the Western seaboard. There's a lot of reasons why you would want to go ahead and put them there. And it was mainly for defensive reasons, not necessarily, hey, hit here because you're going to kill less people. Honestly, at that point, if they're hitting the mid-plains, that means they've already hit Washington. They've already hit Los Angeles. They've hit, 50 major cities, all military bases. And we're already all dead anyway, let's be honest with you. But it's there essentially to give us more warning and to give us more chance to put our birds up in the air. Leroy, and as far as moving them, they haven't been moved. Those silos will remain there and have been remain there. Yep. In order to move them and dig new silos, this would cost trillions now. You're talking about, well, not trillions, billions upon billions of dollars. And it's not a project that you would not hear about. It's not going to be done in secret. I'm just telling you right now. There's no more new frontier left in the United States for them to build missile silos and not have the entire U.S. And then second, where are you going to put them? Right. They're already in the most opportune spots right now. Densely populated, easy to watch. Hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of acres that are all owned by the U.S. government. What are you going to do? Put them next to a Denny's? Go ahead, Leroy.
Nothing. I mean, I wouldn't add anything to that. I think that's a spot on assessment. There's no way that there's no point in moving those silos now. Not with the technological advances that have happened in ICBMs. You could think that 40, 50 years ago, yeah, the placement of those silos would have been key because they got to go over the poles in order to pop Russia, right? But these days, the advancements in ICBM technology is just so huge.
It's a moot point
that there's really no
matter.
point.
Doesn't matter.
You can launch it anywhere.
Yeah, and with subs nowadays, I mean, that's why Cuba was such a big deal, because ultimately they could hit Washington with a matter of like 13 minutes. I mean, you can't do a lot with that. It comes down to this: is nuclear war is not an option unless it's a single-use attack. I mean, that's really what it will take, and blaming a host nation on that. It's just, you're not going to use them. And if you do, the checks and balances, it's not like, okay, this is not what it's like. I want to launch nuclear weapons at the United States. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, button push. Yeah, that's not what happens. Several commands come out. Redundancies are in place. Orders are sent to multiple silos multiple times for redundancy, assuming that some of those are going to be taken out by American attacks before they launch. Commands have to go out. You have to deal with the human.
As easy as hitting like the easy button.
Yeah, dude.
Giant red button.
You got to deal with the human element. Just go watch War Games. Right there. The first opening 5 minutes of War Games will tell you the complexities of turning that key and that button. There's so many. You have to assume that all those sub commanders are going to get the ELF frequency. That every single Foxtrot's not going to get shot down, not just by United States, but all other NATO allies and all other countries when they invade their airspace. There are so many intangibles to a nuclear war that there's just no way for 100% guarantee that there won't be retaliatory strike, and that stops everybody from doing it.
Just as a piece of movie trivia that I don't want to derail Matt off of, so when Matt wants to speak up, we're all going to say, just stop right there, Matt.
Okay.
But Michael Madison, who played Kill Bill, like he was the brother. Michael Madison was one of the Air Force officers who was like, "Turn your key,
turn the key, sir." That's right. He was.
Yeah.
He was. He was
one of his first roles, I think.
Now, I'm gonna give you that light. Take this. Or I'm gonna empty this fucking can of mace into your eyeball. Then I'm gonna do it in the other one.
I love him.
And not only are you going to be in the dark and in pain alone. Oh, Kill Bill is so great. All right. So
I love him.
Wait a second. Keith just said Antarctica is the new Area 51. No, Area 51 is the new and old Area 51. What is up with the Antarctica thing?
Yeah, and does everyone understand? Antarctica, right? Like you can take a cruise there. And
why would you make an Area 51 that's outside the area of the United States? Right. Why would you do that?
Right.
Why would you do it in a place you couldn't control the airspace? Why would you do something that's in international land and international waters? Antarctica isn't owned by anybody. They already had a race to own Antarctica after World War II. It's useless. There are no bases in. Listen, you have subs go up there. They run tests all the time. I don't know what this myth is, but you heard this, that the Nazis moved up to Antarctica and left, and the Reich went to Antarctica. And there's a secret Nazi base still there with millions of Nazi soldiers waiting to invade the United States. These are the crazy ass stories. I've heard them all. They're idiotic. They're the same people that talk about clones. But I
want a clone.
Yeah,
I want to meet my clone.
You can clone your pets now, right? Like your cats and your dogs.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, that's what they're saying. You can clone your pets.
Why would you want to do that? That's weird.
But Keith, why would you need to put ICBMs in Antarctica when you can literally park a frickin' a boomer anywhere you want and get the same result? Why would you need to build a military base when you could put a ballistic missile submarine anywhere you want in the offshore of the United States, 150 miles to 200 miles away outside once it slips our SONAS nets, and it can do that. It can slip our SONUS nets. That's fine. It's going to get picked up by a Seawolf or an SSN or something else or some P3 flying off a fucking coast. But the point is that you can't get all the subs. Now, we're pretty good at tracking these sons of bitches from when they leave an inlet all the way until they come back home. But why would you build a missile silo in Antarctica when you've got a moving silo that can float underneath the water, which is 10 times more effective, 10 times harder to see, and it can get closer than anywhere else? It doesn't make any sense. Come on.
Yep. It would lessen your flight time from
Right. Keith.
10s and 20s of minutes down to, single digit numbers.
Why can't civilians visit Antarctica then? There's a couple of reasons. You can. You just have to have the proper licensing to do so. It's an international area. It's not a sovereign nation. It doesn't have borders. It's not owned by anyone. Therefore, it's owned by everyone. I don't know what to tell you. Go to Antarctica.
Yeah, you can
I've been
definitely
close
go.
enough.
I know lots of people who've actually been to Antarctica.
I know a lot of people who have
say.
too, but you're talking about going to what? I don't know, the poles to go
North
see
Pole?
Megatron. I don't understand what, folks. Why are we talking about
I'll get that
Antarctica? What is the hard on about Antarctica? Why can't people go there then? I don't know. Why can't you go to Area 51? Why can't you go to Chernobyl? Why can't you go to Mars? There's reasons why you can't go to a lot of places, but it doesn't mean what?
Can't you go to Chernobyl now? Can't you go visit?
Yes, you can.
You can.
Not the
You
actual
certainly
site.
not.
They tell you not
right
to stay
now.
there for more than 20 minutes.
Right.
Right.
And you can't go past like certain boundary lines and whatnot, I believe. But I have no desire to go.
You don't want to go
Antarctica.
swimming in certain areas. It comes down to this, folks. It doesn't. This is just ridiculous. We're not going to talk about secret bases. Just give me, please give me a scintilla of evidence about secret bases in Antarctica. Give me some evidence.
Nothing.
Some
But I have a
fact.
question. I have a question for you guys to kind of bring it back for a second.
Yeah.
Now, here's a little bit of a conspiracy theory coming out.
Oh,
Sort of.
Lord.
It makes sense. No, this makes sense. I'm asking a question, really. It's what about these balloons and all this and shooting down these Chinese, they're not just the balloons, but the other, like, I don't know if they were like whatever else they shot down that they assumed were from China.
The civilian
is it-
hobby balloons. Go ahead.
Well, that too. I feel bad. Wasn't that college that got their shot down? That's pretty sad.
Yeah, it was some balloon club. It was like,
that's sad.
the helium brigaders or some shit.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I hope they
Right.
sue. I hope they get their balloon.
What are we
vindicated.
asking, Amy? Amy, what are you asking?
Here's
No.
what we were talking about in practice, though, right? Because we can assume that they've been using those balloons for years and that the
Right.
United States government has known about them. And this
Right.
was just one of those cases where one of the balloons that they had been using somehow drifted over U.S. airspace. We can assume that most of the other balloons that have been shot down have just been due to a recalibration of the radars, and that they're
You are fake news.
just
Yeah, but
just
that's where-
smaller
that's my
science
question.
experiments or college experiments kind of thing.
No, but that's
Real
my
quick.
question.
What's your question?
These balloons, are they?
Yeah.
What are they not telling us that is like
Nothing.
tied into? Well, I mean,
Ah,
but we have this COVID stuff that's coming out now. China's
Come
been threatening this stuff with
Come on.
Russia. So what's the underlying? I said it was a little conspiracy theory. I didn't deny
It's
that.
not a conspiracy
like-
theory. So
What
what are
are
you
they not
asking?
telling
Why
us
did
about the-
China send the balloons?
No, I'm saying why is the U.S. response? I think is really the most important thing. Why
I don't
did
know.
the
We
US
just fired
respond?
four Air Force generals. They just relieved 4 generals of their commands, specifically in Minot, North Dakota, where the balloon went over. So honestly, it was an intelligence failure. They had the ability to shoot this thing down. They didn't follow standard operating procedure and SOP. There's no reason to get the president involved. If something encroaches U.S. airspace and it's in their AOR, they are responsible for taking it out. They have a basic rule guide of what to do and what not to do in these situations. And as long as they are informing the higher ups in the chain of command, they should have popped that balloon a long time ago, but they didn't. And they just relieved four high-ranking officials in Minot. Air Force Base.
again, we can assume that once Biden, the president, came out and said, well, we've known about these for a period of time. Okay. What does that mean? Again, that means we can assume that not only did they know about them, but they were tracking the movements of these things and that the government knows how many there were. So it's not like these, when they started floating these things over known military installations, it was a shock. No, they knew about it. They just chose not to do anything about it. And that's a different scenario. That's
Right.
probably why these guys were fired.
Or they didn't follow SOP.
Right. Exactly.
You didn't follow SOP. Because follow me here. There will be a couple reliefs in Hawaii, Bangor, Washington, and maybe one or two other places as well. Watch, mark my words. Mark my words. You'll hear that it'll be under the rug, but you'll hear Hawaii, Washington. Trying to think where else. That's about it. That's about maybe Wyoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Wyoming too. So that's maybe Crystal Palace, but that's a whole nother conversation. So you'll hear several other high-ranking Air Force officials to be terminated in the coming weeks. And when you do, that means they knew it. They knew about it long before Montana or North Dakota. I'm just letting you know. They knew about this thing in the Pacific. It's not like Leroy's right. It's not like they didn't know. It's that they chose to ignore it, and it was not a threat because they know what it can and can't do. And their simple reaction of not shooting it down and then shooting down 3 others that were hobby balloons shows you that it was an overreaction based upon the public's comments. Susie says you can go up to the gates fence of Area 51. Yes, you can. Leroy, have you been out to a certain spot in Nevada?
No. Hell no. Going out there?
No. Have you on duty?
No.
Okay.
No.
So
I know
so
people who have.
Anyway, so you can go to the gates, but that's a misnomer. You can go into the entry points of Area 51, but if you go along the sidelines of the fence, you'll be arrested. Not only arrested, you'll be detained. So if you think you can go to the outer markings around Area 51 on the external gates and can actually go along that corridor, you're sadly mistaken, Susie.
Hey,
Sadly mistaken.
One thing I wanted to add real quick, something to Amy's point, which is there's something called a COP, C-O-P. I didn't want to make it sound like I came from Boston right there. I don't know why it came out that way. CAP. No, a COP. A common operating picture. And there's several different pieces of software that do this. And what it does is it's like Google Earth almost. It's a map of the world that tracks certain objects live in a live stream as they move. And so that's how we know that they knew where this thing was at all times. That's all I'm going to say.
When someone says, was there an SOP for Balloon Gate? No. Just like if it was a hot air balloon, there wouldn't be an SOP. Or if someone decided to go ahead and recreate Da Vinci's wings and somehow got them to be effective enough to fly, it's not the object that makes an SOP determinable. It's if there is a unidentified flying object in the vicinity of your AOR and it encroaches upon your airspace, they don't give a fuck what it is. You kill it.
Right.
Even if it's a civilian aircraft, you shoot it down. I really don't want to get into a whole bunch of drama about this. It just comes down to there was a response if this happened and somebody didn't follow it. That's why they're gone. And whether it's because they didn't intercept it or they didn't know about it, whatever, Leroy, you pick whatever one that Leroy and I said, those are the one or two reasons you get relieved of command. And not where they weren't reassigned, they were relieved of command. So there was dereliction of duty involved here. We're not getting the full story. Go ahead, Leroy.
In all likelihood, this is the level of firing where someone will have said, it may or may not happen where you get your military benefits now that you've been removed from your position. It's that bad. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, it's not. You don't remove high-ranking Air Force, especially when the Air Force is struggling. Anyway, okay, let's move on.
Well, yeah, but now they can hire like 100 airmen.
Right. Joe Biden will not be going to East Palestine. What is it? Palestine, Ohio. Now, I got yelled at because I said it was Palestine, Ohio. And someone's like, that's 300 miles west Palestine. It's East Palestine, you triggered jackass who doesn't even care. Okay. We've had this conversation before, you fucktards. There's 180,000 cities in the United States of America. I am not going to learn every single name because your hick ass lives in something that is pronounced incorrectly, and I'm supposed to know your local folklore. So go folklore yourself.
Wow, that sounds uncomfortable.
Leroy, you're blurry. Here, you know what, Leroy? Let's just make it look like it's not your fault. Here, we're just going to do this. No, I've got it. Leroy, there's something wrong with your picture. I don't know what happened to it. Oh, now it's turned brown. I don't know what's going on, buddy. Are you okay?
I'll go ahead and log up and log back in.
Leroy, something's wrong with your picture. I don't know what it could be.
Oh.
Dude, do I need to buy you new gear?
No.
I think I need to get you a new camera. I think I need to upgrade my center camera and send it to him. All right.
I'll be right back.
Okay. No, wait. It just
fine.
It just came in. It just focused. Oh, focus. All right.
Oh.
So another topic of choice, besides the fact that COVID-19, the government is talking about it being released out of Wuhan now and openly admitting that, go figure. The next thing I kind of wanted to talk about was, listen, I try not to bring up family. That's not my thing. But I got to do it here. When we're talking about Fetterman, now, I just watched a movie that I haven't seen in 20 years. Marissa Tomei, Christian Slater, and Untamed Heart. And that movie makes me cry every time I watch it. First of all, Marissa Tomei totally reminds me of my wife. And even though she doesn't have the Boston accent, the Minneapolis, oh, you betcha accent in that movie, my wife is sweet like Marissa Tomei. Just the greatest woman in the world. Love her to death. She's amazing. She's perfect. She's beautiful. And Marissa Tomei is sexy as hell in that movie. And my wife is too. So I watched that movie and I'm just like, well, and then I heard the Fetterman story. And I said, listen, if Marissa Tomei can love a guy with greasy long hair and a baboon heart, why can't his wife, Mrs. Fetterman, love Mr. Fetterman because he's lurch and completely slower than molasses in a wheelchair with a three-toed sloth going uphill carrying my grandmother? And I felt for Fetterman. I did. I started feeling for the guy. So I was like, I'm going to read up on how's Fetterman doing? I'm going to check it out. I'm not kidding. This is what I thought. I immediately was like, so I started looking it up, and he's in the hospital. He's depressed. He's not doing well. He had a stroke. I mean, it's not looking good for Fetterman. And I'm like, that really sucks. How's his wife holding up? Where is she at? Do they have a GoFundMe? Maybe I'll help out. I'm not kidding. I looked it up. I don't use this word very often. That bitch took a fucking 2-week vacation and bailed on him.
Yeah.
Left his ass in the hospital.
GTFO.
And left him. Just took him on vacay and so like, yep, we're going. You took the children away. They might never see their dad again. He might be like, in like 2 minutes, he might have another stroke. And you take his children? I'm sorry. I don't use the B word. I don't think I've ever said it on my show. Bitch.
That's some cold-blooded shit right there.
That's pretty horrible.
Total bitch. 3 times. She went on vacation. She's just like, I'm out. And she replied back, her tweet. Oh my God, Amy, come on, get your opinion on here while I go find her tweet.
Well, obviously I don't yeah, she's a bitch. I'm sorry.
There you go. Let it fly, Amy. Come on.
First of all, this is the picture of her.
Tell her that you know what I know.
She basically looks like a wax statue of Jasmine from Aladdin if it came to life and got old. so
Madame Tussauds.
so Fetterman's not getting better. He looks like the parrot from Aladdin. So you've got these, you've got her, and she goes on vacation.
Did Fetterman say he didn't want the kids to see him like that and like take them away? I don't know.
You think
I
so?
would never do it.
You think so?
No, I don't think so. I can't. I'm just trying to think about the other side of it. I don't know.
She said she was forced to flee to Canada, of all places, to Canada. To avoid media circus over depression. So let me get this straight. She went through a full state election, one of the most aggressive, highly funded elections in U.S. history. That was one of the most, hold on. That was one of the most insane, idiotic elections. Dealt with her husband going through a massive stroke, getting back upstage, going through debates, going through the voting process, and none of that was a media circus. But because he gets a fit of depression, all of a sudden it's too much to bear. Go ahead.
No, I was asking, was she claiming she has depression?
No, he did. I think.
Yeah.
He was.
He had depression, not her. She wasn't depressed. She was just depressed. She didn't get to go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
She wasn't. No, dude, here it is. I finally found the tweet. Was this really written on a napkin? I mean, come on. This has got to be a joke. This has got to be a joke. It says, Giselle. Oh, she's like Tom Brady's wife. She's bitter. Giselle Burrito Fetterman. First of all, she has 3 names. What have I told you about women with 3 names, everybody?
Oh my God. Stay clear.
I told you, stay clear with women with 3 names.
That's a chick that'll poison you with arsenic like flowers in the attic.
Don't ignore me, Michael. I will not be ignored, Michael. I will not be ignored. I will put a bunny in your pot and I'll cook it alive. Okay. Giselle Burrito Fetterman. And she's going to make him an offer she can't refuse. We drove straight into, what is she, Cyndi Lauper? We drove all night to get away from you. Canada and lovely Buffalo, New York. At nighttime, Buffalo is only beautiful in the nighttime. Pro tip, always have passports ready just in case you have to run away. Listen to this shit. We talked about lots of hard things and how we all have to face hard things, about the need to be gentle with all and with ourselves. Hard things, you're not facing hard things, you're running away. This is the thing. Be gentle. Disease eventually ensnares all of us. When it happens to you, you'll crave the same. Jennifer Sr. Dude, she's ridiculous. Listen to me. I understand the Institute of Marriage is really not the most important thing to Democrats anymore. It's all about murdering your babies, not necessarily having a family. I get that. But what in the name of Sam Hill is going on with wives not supporting their husbands? And why would you allow a man to have a stroke and not be there and support him? This is ridiculous. I would never leave my wife in the hospital and be like, okay, I'm going to give you an example. Somebody we all know very well, all of us, is a good friend of the show. They're a friend of a show. They're a friend of mine. They're a friend of ours.
I know who.
A friend of ours. What are you talking about? Don't tell me what I'm talking about. They're a friend of ours, all right? We've opened the books. They're a friend of ours, okay? I'm not going to say their name.
Capiche? If you think I'm funny.
Capiche?
Funny?
Am I funny like a fucking clown? Am I funny like a fucking clown? Is that what you're asking me? All right. So they're a friend of ours.
Get out of your system. You feel
I
better?
do. I feel great. I feel great.
All
I feel great. I can't do a Pesci voice. If I could, I'd do it. All right. So they're a friend of ours, but I'm not going to give their name. This close friend of the show, their wife died. And then daughter passed away. And with the new revelation of just that life is so terribly fucking hard, took his children and went and took them on a vacation while his wife was sick. And it was a decision that they made together so the children didn't have to see this, who had already had the worst possible time possible. That's different. That's two a married couple saying, let's do what's best for the kids. This isn't that. This is her saying, this is what she said. And hold on. Now, this is, hold on, before I want you to hear this, because you have not heard this in any other part of the show. In any show across America, because I wasn't going to play it because I care about family. I wasn't going to play. I have an audio recording of what she said. Nobody else has this. And I think it's important for y'all to hear it. This is what was playing when she wrote the tweet. I'm sorry. I just want to be honest. Here it is.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
You heard it here first, folks. All right, I want to hear your thoughts. Amy, what am I missing? Am I being a toxic male? What are we thinking? Okay.
There's no such thing, by the way.
No. I think truly, I think this is absolutely horrifying. Plus, and I don't know the other side, so it's hard for me to say this, but it's horrible. I don't know how old their children are, but most kids want to be with their father despite anything, right? We try to shelter our kids. We try to protect them from seeing things that could be scary or things that are hard to explain and have their little brains understand. But I've been in this, not this exact situation. I have been in a situation like this with my ex-husband who was really
Is
sick.
he lurch? He's kind of lurchy.
I don't even want to go there, but
You rang.
right. Seriously. Yeah, that's just great. Right. Cool. But when I was married to him, and despite our relationship pretty much always being terrible, when he was sick and going through a bunch of shit, like my parents came and lived with us so that I could literally be with him like 24/7, 365 until he was better. Like he helped me, or my parents helped me with my son. My daughter wasn't born at the time, but it was just, I couldn't imagine. And this is at a point in my life where I just truly didn't have a lot to give to him, but as a human being and as I was his wife at the time, I felt like that was what I was there to do. And I was there to support, and I showed up every day despite my own issues. It was all pushed to the side because you took a vow, you showed up for this person, and you made it the best possible scenario that you could for whatever situation you're dealt. And she sounds, excuse my language, everyone. She just sounds like a fucking horrible, cowardly bitch. Like
she's a see you next Tuesday. She's a see you next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yep. See you next Tuesday. That's my favorite new thing.
Just selfish asshole. Sorry.
Well, I said it. I said the C word the other day on somebody, and I think it was my daughter that goes, "No, Dad, see you next Tuesday." So that's what it is. Listen, I'm defending Fetterman, which is something I never thought I would do. I'm wearing a hoodie in honor of him tonight. So actually, no,
you don't have to make it a right or a left thing in order to defend.
Right.
I know, but that should show you how virtuous I'm being.
How they should be treated.
Right, but it just shows you the virtue of how right I must be to do this, because this is sad. Can you imagine you have a stroke, you're manic depressive, life is you're struggling, and you don't go into full in-person treatment unless you're contemplating thoughts of suicide. Let's be honest with you. I mean,
Right.
Fetterman's going through some shit right now, and let's stop all the political stuff. People were very hard on him, very rude on him. That couldn't have felt good. Listen, I don't love Fetterman. I don't like his policies, but as a human being, I don't know the man, and I think people were really fucking cruel to him, horribly cruel to him. And that could obviously look at Dr. Oz. You know what did Dr. Oz do? He probably burned all of his guns, burned all of his shit. He's going to run as a Democrat sometime in the near future, and you know that's going to be Dr. Oz. But this Fetterman guy, he's having some problems right now. I kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine somebody from the right hand side of the aisle reaching over to the left and running that way. It really is.
Well,
it's hard to metabolize that.
somebody just said Melania would do that with Trump. You know what?
I don't think so.
See, I disagree with you because
Yeah,
if there was any reason for her to run away from Donald Trump, I think the last 2.5 years would be a perfect reason for her to do that.
Yeah.
She's out of office. There's no reason to do it. Why not?
And I don't know their relationship, but I will tell you, the Trump family does care about optics a lot as well. So that would be reason enough for Melania to stay. And I'm not saying that she wouldn't stay because she wouldn't feel it was the right thing to do. But I'm just saying if she felt that it wasn't the right thing to do, she wouldn't, because optics are a huge thing for that family, and they're not going to do that anymore.
I can totally see that, actually. I would actually make that distinction that optics are more important to people who do lean left.
Yeah.
Than as to people who lean right, who would embrace more of the fact-based truth end of an argument. I could see where optics play heavily into that family. Yeah, I get it.
You know, I feel bad for insulting the lady, but honestly, I can understand if she's like, this has been an incredibly difficult time for me. My kids, I'm getting them away, and honestly, I'm dealing with my own none of that. She's just like, oh my God, Buffalo's so beautiful this time of year. It's gorgeous, and I just saw it at night. By the way, friendly AFA reminder. Fuck you, lady. You know, seriously?
You do that really well, Matt.
Thanks, man. I've been reaching I can be a woman, I've heard. So my tubes are fallopian, so I'm really excited. Whatever the hell. Listen, it just comes down to this. The institution of marriage is a challenging and difficult thing to navigate, and it always will be. Selfishness is never, ever a requirement in marriage. And the fact that she went to Canada, of all places, and fled is ridiculous. And it just shows you how detached she is. It's not like she couldn't have went to Harper's Ferry. It's not like she couldn't have just, driven to a small town and just went off the grid. She went to Canada. She went on fucking vacation. That's what it's about. Okay, so Cheryl says, Benny Johnson just posted that Facebook has been flagging a lot of his content today. I want to let you know, I have not been flagged at all except for two things. They hit the Dumb Nation group on 2 of Isaac's old posts, and they flagged it. They said, it's no big deal. We're just letting you know. You can delete them if you want, but it has been founded untrue. And the information was, in fact, fake, and I deleted them. But they have not hit me on anything. Folks, this is the beauty of my channel. Facebook doesn't fuck with me right now. Like, I'm free and clear. Now, I'm knocking on wood. Everyone knock on wood, because I don't want to wake up to a flag tomorrow. But right now, they're leaving me alone. But the problem is that I can't get the interaction I was getting. I still impacted over 1.5 million people last month, but my videos are not doing well. My recorded shows, it's insane. The live show's been good tonight, 126, whatever, but the recorded shows have not been getting the traction that they usually have been getting. I don't know what's going on. Don't know what to tell you.
I don't know. If there was anything that I would be able to say that separates this show from most of the other shows on Facebook, it's the fact that
3 incredibly good-looking hosts.
I agree.
Well,
2.5.
One of them for sure, and then the other two are former
half.
military intel
Two and a half.
clowns
Two and a half.
who kind of,
You know,
we
I'm
have-
sorry. No, hold on a second. Speak for yourself. I will put
Oh,
up my rugged, handsome, good looks against Amy's fine ass any day of the week. For a guy, I'm not doing too bad. And I think you are too hard on yourself, Leroy. I think if anyone is looking for like a Jordan Peterson, Mr. Clean,
Exactly.
they got it, right?
That is such an accurate description of you,
You know
Leroy.
what I mean? Totally. Can you imagine him in bed? Well, darling, I have properly flicked the clitoris effectively, and I was wondering if you would like me to continue.
my lady.
Oh. Sorry.
Existentially speaking, I think I really waxed that ass predominantly well.
Oh my golly.
Mr. Clean. It's fantastic. Should be Mr. Dirty. Really? Whoosh. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about, speaking of smacking assless chaps, Pete Buttigieg is in the news.
Wait, Leroy didn't finish his
Yeah.
thoughts. I interrupted him.
Oh, go ahead, Leroy. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine.
All
We're
right.
fine. Moving on.
Really? That fat? I'm just having some fun tonight. I mean, you want to get serious? We can get serious. Fine, Leroy. Thanks a lot. Now we got to get serious. My God.
I'm kidding. I don't give a shit.
So, all seriousness.
Pete Buttigieg,
Pete-
yes.
Pete Buttigieg. Did everyone see his attire?
No, I've heard about it though, but I haven't seen it.
No, not his tire on his bike,
No,
but his attire as his clothing.
no.
Not recently.
No.
I haven't noticed.
Why was his luggage
Okay.
stolen out of the airport?
Oh, that's so funny. That's so Pete Buttigieg. This
Oh,
is
I
his
did see
picture.
this.
He literally looks like he's aged about 60 years. Safety goggles. He's got himself a vest that was just taken out of the plastic bag.
Yeah.
And he's just looking at, fuck my life.
No.
He doesn't look happy at all, man. So I made a little meme for him, and I didn't post it on Facebook because I didn't want to get banned. I said, Pete Buttigieg finally visited East Palestine. This is the look I would have in assless chaps and a cummerbund. I thought I'd get in trouble. Now they're going after Pete Buttigieg, Mr. Bicycle Pete, because he has taken private flights on the U.S. government's dime and military flights and bumped military personnel to prioritize his flights. Not just once, but so many times. And now there's an open investigation against this. And here's the thing. Pete is kind of like Mr. Rogers, right? But an evil Mr. Rogers. He's not a good guy. It's like Mr. Bean. He's kind of there.
Pretty
Right,
perfect.
he's Mr. Bean. And you don't want to hurt him. Like nobody hates Pete Buttigieg. I mean, how can you hate somebody so freaking non-violent and completely beta? I mean, it's
Because
like
he's
hating Pee Wee
arrogant.
Herman. Oh, that's true.
Because
I hate him.
He's freaking arrogant. Did you see his interview when he went to East Palestine?
No, I
Palestine,
didn't.
whatever the hell.
Palestine, whatever the fuck it. It's
did
it's
not watch
Palestine,
it.
bro. It's
A
Palestine.
reporter rolled up on him and was like, "Hey, thanks for visiting now 22 days later, blah, 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 blah." And his
I did
immediate
know that.
response was, I am not here for political reasons. We're going to move on now. Like,
Yep.
no.
Oh, yeah, I
answer
saw
the lady's
that.
question. Yeah.
Yes. And then his press secretary came in and she's like, I'll talk to you over here, off camera, over here, off camera. And I was like, it's insane. So do you think this is what happened? Do you think that let's just be honest. Let's just say he took a plane trip from Washington, D.C. to L.A. Did he do this? Did he fly private from Washington, D.C. to Burbank, then get on a Southwest Airlines flight from Burbank to LAX? Because that's what he did with his bike. You remember they loaded his bike up in an SUV, rode him 150 feet away from Department of Transportation building, which I think is in, it's off Pennsylvania Avenue. I don't even know what building it is. And he rode his bike for optics. I wonder if he did that with the flight.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
It would not shock me.
I don't like him. I don't
I don't like him either.
like him. I
No,
mean, yeah.
because he is an arrogant man.
Yeah.
Not much of a man, but arrogant at least.
All right. I'm going to wrap it up. The Colorado Avalanche are playing the Golden Knights. Avalanche are kicking fucking ass.
Oh.
They are literally just doing this. And everyone's like, Boston, Boston. I'm like, dude, I told you when the Avs get healthy, they're the best team in hockey. They're killing. They're like 5 games in a row. I think in their last 16, they're 14-2. Avs are doing what they did last year. Here's the thing. Lady came on, and I don't like people screwing with my viewers. That really bothers me. I don't like it. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of this. This lady, and there is an epidemic of this happening all over Facebook. And this lady came on. And it was a picture of Kamala Harris. Everyone saw this meme. It was Kamala Harris and the 4 faces of Kamala. And it says, I want someone to laugh at my memes the way Kamala laughs at questions she can't answer. Everyone remembers this. Okay, I put this meme up, right? Mm-hmm. So then this Ross Pope, who is a fan of the show, comes on and he goes, am I the only person that cringes at the sight of her picture? And I said, nope, me too. And Doris Swistak, I'm surprised she doesn't have 3 names.
Swistak?
Yeah, it's kind of like Sleestack from Land of the Lost. She goes, are you cute? Not. First of all, no punctuation, no question mark, drives me up the fucking wall. Are you cute? Not.
Yeah.
And then my response to her was, says the person without a profile pic because they know the truth. And then there's a picture, hey, you guys, of Sludge. Or whatever his name is.
Sloth, right?
Sloth. I don't know, whatever. Sludge, sloth, slurth, whatever. Then, get this shit. Get this shit. So Ross comes on and goes, why, yes, I am. Thank you so much for noticing. You are the best. It's good. It's fine. Well, I got upset. So Doris Swistak actually, since she had no picture, I found her. And I put, here's the real Dolores. Nice try hiding, but alas, it's the internet. So I just she's ashamed of her picture. She's ashamed of who she is. So here she is. This is Dolores, who decided to troll my page and insult the looks of one of my viewers. And I'm not insulting her looks in any way, shape, or form. Nice lady, nice haircut, a little bit older, fine. Beautiful painting in the background. Might be of La Paris. Nothing wrong with this lady. I don't know why she's ashamed of herself. I don't know why she thinks that her picture isn't worthy, unless you've created a dummy account because you're too fucking afraid to actually stand on your own 2 feet and believe in your convictions like Ross is. So he puts himself out there, puts his own picture out there because he cares about who he is and what he is, and he has high self-esteem. And ma'am, you don't have any. So before you start casting rocks, and while you live in a glass house, maybe you should explore your own inequities before castigating others. It's not that hard to find people on the internet. I mean, I don't know what people are thinking. There is no more anonymity. And you give an intel guy the ability. I mean, what the fuck? It's like my playground. I'm going to find you.
I'm going to find. I have a particular set of skills for people like you. Makes me a nightmare for people like you. I will find you. And when I do, I will kill you. If you leave it alone now and you bring her back, nothing will become of it. But if you don't,
dude, you don't get to interrupt my Liam Neeson. Serious, I just, gosh, mistaken 3.
The flip side of that coin is give an intel guy the opportunity to use the internet to mask himself. And
I'm just saying, man.
Like I know how to do this. I know how to do these things.
Yeah. My 2 cents would be there's like a bajillion, that's a word, right? It's not a number, but it's a word. There's so many filters. Like you can look like anything you want to nowadays on the internet. Like this is not my real face at all.
Well, did you hear about the OnlyFans? This is tragic and sad. So for those of you that don't know, no, I don't have an OnlyFans. Knock it off. I mean, this rumor has been going on.
What about the feet? Wait, do you do the thing with the feet?
people were trying to pay money. They're like, I'll give you $100 if you can find Matt's OnlyFans and share it with me. Fucking people, I don't have an OnlyFans, okay? Honestly, I probably make more money doing that. Maybe I'll create an OnlyFans account. Anyway, it'll be, I'll call it Don't Unbuckle Me.
Oh, there you go.
So anyway,
Oh, God.
so anyway. I don't think I have it. So anyway, so I'm OnlyFans. This is really sad. This lady, who very pretty lady, but I think was milfy. She was, 35, 36, something like that. And for those of you who know what OnlyFans is, essentially it's like low-grade amateur porn site where you can post your pictures and nudies and all that other stuff, and guys join you, and you throw up one pic and you try to bait them into buying your site or whatever. I don't know. So she used a filter that makes you look like you're under 18.
Oh.
And makes her look super young to bait guys to go to her, and it worked. And I read the article and I saw the picture and I'm like, holy shit, it made a 38-year-old look like she was like 18, 19 years old. And she committed suicide from the harassment and the violence verbal that she got from this. And I'm just like, listen, if you're selling your body on the internet, there's a good chance that stability and self-confidence probably aren't in your wheelhouse. Right. I'm not going to condemn people who do porn. It's your business. You get to do what you want. It's a free country. But my thoughts are, your first instinct isn't to sell your body when you have a lot of self-value or confidence. I guess I would make that argument. I don't know if that's true. It sounds like it to me. It sounds pretty good, so I'm going to stick with it. But this isn't the first time. There was also another story that I read, and you guys be like, Matt, what sites are you going to? But there was a lady who was a porn star, fairly popular porn star. I don't know her name, and I'm not going to, advertise this. But she simply made a stand and said, I won't sleep with a transgender man or a gay man. And
whatever,
because there's a lot of disease in that community, and I don't want to do that. I'll sleep with a woman, I'll sleep with a guy. Those are my standards. I'm just not going to do that. And anybody who has had a relationship with a transgender person or a gay man, I'm not interested in filming a sex scene with. Oh, and I'm like, oh, holy shit, this is really, really specific. And the absolute bullying that took place from fans, and she committed suicide.
Jesus.
And
Jeez.
There's this new freaking thing about where I will push somebody so far when I'm going off on somebody, I'll take it to a limit and then I stop. Like when I see them making spelling mistakes and shit, and I can feel their stroke taking place, I back off.
Backing off. Yeah.
I just stop. Yeah. Right. I'm like, I'm infuriating this person. Like, I'm done. I'll just be like, dude, give the phone back to your dad. Go take a nap. We're done. And then I just get out of the conversation. But there is a point where these people are effing cruel. And it is just the level of stuff that I see from that kid 17-year-old kid who beat the shit out of his teacher. And he's like 6'7", 285, and just would not stop hitting her. There's something going on in the world today where people are just so detached from having a conscience anymore. And it's terrifying. This is like, it's everybody. You got to wonder, is social media creating this?
Well, is it social media, or is it a lack of parenting? Is it the inability to get kids to have any level of empathy to the point where they could, take an event and hack it off and say, all right, no, look, this is done. We don't need to be that cruel any further. I wonder about that. But at the same time, you want your kids to be kind. You want your kids to grow up in a kind world. And we would ultimately wish that all of our kids would grow up in a place where nobody ever had to endure anything that was cruel or unusual or,
right.
But the world isn't like that. And so you can try and raise your kids that way. Or you can prepare them. You can let them know that at some point the world's going to feel like it's caving in on you. And if you can figure out how to roll with that and basically, give the world a, not interested kind of, like, I'm not interested in that debate any further. Shut it off, even after you've gotten all the hate mail that says, oh, you fill in your expletives.
Right. You see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. If you can, there are people who genuinely get flustered by that kind of thing. And I really do feel bad for them. It wasn't that long ago. It was less than a year ago when we had Trey Felder on here. And him and his brother have that Epictetus quote that says that, hey, any man who is capable of angering you becomes your master. And Matt and I have had our discussions about that. But ultimately what it means is that if you get so inflamed over a comment or an accusation that you just feel like lashing out, and all of a sudden, you just start spilling out all of these expletives in the opposite direction, they got you. You have to be able to learn to be able to take something like that and say, not worth it. Cut it off. It's not my monkey, not my circus.
I think the worst.
It's not like
that.
It's not like that person knows what the hell it turns your clock in the morning.
I'm not saying that, but Gandhi even probably had a bad day where he's like, just fucking leave me alone. I promise you. Now, real quick, Thomas Austin says, Matt in a Speedo? No. Hey, brother, I've never been asked for a refund. Number one. Number two, I work really hard on this whole thing. So don't make me start an OnlyFans account and prove you wrong, okay? No, you don't want to see me in a Speedo. You don't want to see any man in a Speedo. There's something emasculating. The only person who's ever looked good in a Speedo was Jack LaLanne. And that's it. Now,
I would have said Chris Farley.
Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller looked good in a Speedo in Meet the Parents. I was like, wow, you actually can pull it off. No, there's no such thing as there's no such thing as a man in a Speedo, number one. If I wanted to wear panties, I'd go to my wife's drawer. No. Oh, real quick. Mel says, can you just give me the name of the app? I just have a few wrinkles I want to get rid of. Listen, some people are like, there's more than just porn accounts on OnlyFans. That's okay. That's like saying there's a cooking show on Pornhub. Come on.
Yeah.
It's what it's designed for. Nobody goes to OnlyFans for a cooking show or music.
I'd like to funnel everyone who's watching to my onlyfeet.com account.
Yeah. And my GoFundMe page. I don't have an OnlyFans. I'll just take your money. I'm not going to give you anything in return, but I will take your money.
Listen, let's sum it up and then we'll go to our final minute. I just wish somebody would invent something a little bit different. And I want to create a social network. Cindy says, I strongly disagree. My husband was hot in a Speedo. That may be true. And some men look good in female underwear or with assless chaps. But I'm just letting you know, if you ask any man, do you feel masculine in a Speedo? The answer is no. I'm just telling you. He may look good in a Speedo. I'm just telling you. Nobody's ever put on a Speedo and go, damn, man, I feel masculine. I'm going to go show my buddies this Speedo. I've shown my buddies my board shorts. I've showed them a new tank top or a t-shirt. I've never said, hey, Ralph, come here. Check me out in this Speedo and how masculine I look. It just doesn't happen. Anyway.
Did you ever see that Wolverine movie? There's the scene where he breaks into like this. It was the one that took place in Japan, and he breaks into this dude's apartment, and the dude had apparently paid for 2 hookers, and he's in his these red underwear. Have you seen that movie, Matt? So there's this scene. So there's this scene where he breaks in and he's trying to get information out of the guy, but the guy is standing there in his red underwear, and all of a sudden he starts to act all tough, and he's like, "Really? You're gonna act tough while you're standing there in red underwear?"
Nice.
And that's actually what made me think of that. Yeah.
It's Silver Samurai, isn't it? It's not Wolverine. Silver Samurai movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The whole point is somebody said the Machine. Yeah, the Machine looked good in a Speedo. I mean, that guy. All right. So here's my thought. I want to create a social media site, very similar to Twitter or Facebook. But one of the laws are that if you're going to use the site, you have to have a camera available at all times, which means it has to be accessed on your phone and open, or on your webcam on your computer. And if you start being a royal cock knocker, the camera comes on, you can't text, and you have to have a conversation with the person. And I bet you that would not be the most popular social media site, but there's people who would actually say, you know what? I'm not going to be a cock knocker. I have no problem just texting and being a normal human being and trying to be civil and kind, because that's the problem. Because I've proven it here. People will be completely disrespectful and rude to me in chat here or one of us. And once we get them in front of us, they are completely different. They're amicable. They're kind. Very rarely have we had anybody start screaming, yelling, and being a complete jerk once they get on camera. And I just think if there was a level of accountability that we had, that this interaction that we have is extremely, it's personal, but it's micro. It's these little microaggressions that build up over time where people can make you, it may not be you, it might be the conversation, 10 conversations before you, where someone called you something that really fucking pissed you off. And then it translates into other people. And just like paying it forward, you can pay it backwards too. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that is what's going on with the epidemic of social media is maybe nobody likes my post, therefore it's equivalent to nobody likes me. Or people talk bad about me, they think I'm ugly. I don't think it helps your self-esteem, because it's a very immaterial, non-emotional transaction anyway. And it just seems like it's not doing any good. I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan. But anyway, that's my minute. Amy, you're next, and then Leroy.
Golly, I don't know where to go with my minute here. Social media, I've never been shy about it. I hate social media. I'm not a fan of it. Growing up, I was, I don't know if bullied was the word. Back then, we didn't use the word bullied. So, like, just relentlessly tortured from kindergarten through my entire life. And I had horrible self-esteem. And I still don't have great self-esteem even now. I mean, I've gotten much better because I don't give a fuck also. But, sorry, I've been cussing a lot tonight.
You have.
Yeah,
I'm
I
really
like it.
offended. Can you stop?
I love it.
My
Seriously,
parents are
the
here. I'm just trying to
language.
piss them
My
off.
God. God, so offensive.
Sorry. I know
My
my
Lord.
parents are here. I should stop. My dad's going to be like, what the fuck, Amy?
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
You're fired.
Looking over my shoulder. No, but
Get him out.
No.
Ready? Are you ready? Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get the hell out of here.
I'm losing viewers tonight for you guys.
No, you're doing fine. Go ahead.
No. So I'm going to circle to I'm bringing it together, I promise. So when, I don't like social media doesn't bother me. People say a lot of horrible things to me through social media and call me. I just get all kinds of crazy. That does not bother me. But when it's someone that I know or someone that I've had a relationship with that, they might, and I get called horrible things specifically in one certain part of my life on a daily basis too. And it's torture. But I've never put a lot of merit into it, but it's just annoying. But I will say a couple months back, someone that I respected very much gave credit to this person who was torturing me. And I'm like, maybe. So then it's like makes you second guess yourself. Like, am I wrong? Have I been wrong all of these years? So I think that really weighs on someone who is like me, who does internalize things. I am empathetic to other people. I try to see where someone else is coming from, and I know that I'm not always right. And I think that can really weigh on certain people. And I not defending anyone for talking horribly to other people. Like you just can't always be nice. But also, there's a lot of empaths and a lot of people who are sensitive. My son is extremely sensitive too. And I have to really be cautious of the way I handle things with him because I don't want him to ever internalize, when he's doing something wrong and the way I come down on him. I have to be careful to make sure he knows I'm not attacking him as a person. it's just the behavior or something it's just it's a hard line to walk, and you can't be careful with everybody in the world. And I'm not
No.
asking for any special treatment, and you can't treat everybody with kid gloves all the time, and we're all human. We all have horrible days. We
God,
all
Amy, I
laugh
hate
out
you.
on people. I don't know. I don't really have a point. I'm just venting.
You have a point. I'm just teasing. Yes. Listen, you've got to get a skin, right? You've got to get a skin, but you
Yeah.
also need to know that sometimes, listen, my armor may not be as strong as it needs to be today. And you should have the presence of mind to maybe not engage in conversations like that if it's going to impact you that way. But I try to tell people, you come to my show, you're going to get facts, you're going to get truth. And if you don't like that, I don't care. And some people are like, you're supposed to be my friend. You're supposed to. No, I'm not. There's nothing in the contract that says we're buddies. It says don't unfriend me. Yes, I care about you. Yes, I like you, but it doesn't mean we can't disagree. And that's the whole premise of this show. So some people want this unfettered loyalty that I'll never disagree with them. And that's just not going to happen. Leroy, your minute real quick before, oh shit, Amy's out. Before we get to your last minute, I just want to show you a quick video. I always try to share with the viewers. It's important to me. But Leroy, you go first and then I'll show this.
I'm a big fan of certain conservative outlets. And recently I saw a video where it was Dennis Prager who talked about the freedoms of speech and this type of thing. Something that really kind of got to me on that was that if we start monitoring everything we said, right, then at some point, somebody down the line is going to get more and more offended, more sensitive. And, that's not how the world operates, though. It's the people that can take all of that and basically pay it no credence. Just push through it and say, you know what, your opinions are meaningless to me. I'll push through that and I'll prove you wrong. And those are the people that end up, as CEOs in their own companies. Those are the people that can take negative criticism and say, doesn't affect me. It's your opinion it has no bearing on the direction of my life. And
nobody
so,
knows you on the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think there's not enough of that type of attitude that goes around. And I'm going to come back to that here real quick. And with that, we didn't really touch on it today on the show too much. But we have a call-in number, folks. It's 804-504-1955. And so I'm going to issue a personal challenge. When we're talking about discussions, political discussions on morals or ethics, when we're talking about things that are right for all of us, all of our lives, all of our families at a personal level, right? There always tends to be this conflict between the left and the right, between liberals and conservatives, between Democrats and Republicans. There always seems to be some group of people out there who think that they know better how to run your life more than you do. And so I'm going to issue a personal challenge. We've got a little over 100 on right now. In the next couple of, you guys know our schedules. We're going to be on Wednesday. So go ahead and post on all of your social media. Call that number, 804-504-1955, to all of your leftist sites, not your friends, but people, but definitely sites, and say, call into that show. Let's have that talk. Let's have that debate, because we'd love to do it. We'd love to sit here and talk about ideas and facts and results of policy with you, because that's the kind of stuff that really starts to get those gears going. That's progress. So that's the end of my minute.
Yeah. Yes, I'm monitoring what's going on with Amy. I've said it several times. She said she was okay. They just got him on lockdown. So I don't know what's going on. We will continue to monitor it and watch out, make sure she's okay. Amy's not stupid. Last but not least, I'm just going to show a quick video of Ethan doing his belt test like I said I would.
Yeah.
And the kid is now a junior black belt, and he's essentially 3 badges away from getting his black belt, and he will progress as an adult. But the kid's pretty amazing at this, and he's done extremely well, moved up very fast for his age. He's 9 years old, if that doesn't tell you something. No, I did not add sound to that.
1, 2. Okay.
It ain't nothing, buddy. Take it out.
Okay. Say, I can do it. I can do it. Everybody say,
You can do it. That a boy. Easy day. If you look at him at some point and you see how far back he goes, he almost lays himself out almost at a 45.
That's awesome.
And you can see that
impressive.
if I just, first of all, how high he gets. I mean, he's got a good vertical, and he's like, he lays back. He just has no fear with what he does. And I've been watching him now for so many years doing this. He's been doing it since he was 2. He's already reached black belt in Little Dragons. And he was the first person in Texas ever to receive their black belt in Little Dragons, excuse me. Then he moved. Now he's in junior Taekwondo, and he's about ready to hit black. And then from here, he'll just continue his black belt through adult. So he's doing some great stuff. So anyway, really proud of him and what he's doing. Appreciate everybody watching. Do me a favor, before you leave, hit the like, the love, as many as you can. It looks like we've got about 3,000 hearts and likes, thumbs up combined. But likes and hearts, do that. Make sure you share it. Do me a favor before you go. There's 106 people on. Do me a favor. Back out when you're done with the live show and go down right below this video. And there's going to be a video on what we talked about with Dr. Fauci, COVID, the Wuhan lab, the United States admitting that more than likely this was released now from the Wuhan lab. Give that video a watch and do me a favor and hit like on it. That really helps. It keeps it moving forward. I would appreciate you guys doing that. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you for being here. We will go out like we always do with the Veteran Crisis Hotline. Amy, thank you for being here. It's great to see you tonight. And you're beautiful as always. Leroy, you are my sexy pumpkin tits, and it's good to see you too.
Well, thank you there, sugar tits.
Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. May I go to the restroom, please?
Why yes, Ruprecht.
All right, guys.
Thank you. Good night. See you guys.
Good night.
Next time.
Love you guys. Love you.
See ya. Bye.
I'm David
Bye.
Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets.
We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Yes,
Your
you did
service
spell
is
Ethan
important.
correctly.
You are important. For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call